Hey, welcome back. You have turned into One-on-One. It is a pleasure to be here today. We have an awful lot to talk about. We have an exciting and interesting guest. Today, we're going to go back in time a little bit. We're going to talk about preserving history. We're going to talk to someone who does that for us in the town of Brewster. Our guest is Amy Campanaro, director of the Southeast Museum. Amy, what is the Southeast Museum and what do you guys do over there?
Everybody keeps asking me, what's new in a history museum? And I say nothing.
Nothing,
old.
It's a history museum.
Old. But thank you very much for having me.
Oh, pleasure.
Just to give everyone a little background of the museum. The museum is in its 53rd year.
Wow.
So we've been there quite some time.
Yeah.
We have some people walk by and say, oh, I've never been in. So come in. Come in. We open in June, and our season's June through November, December. Depends on how cold it gets with our heating system and things like that. But the reason why we have a museum in the town of Southeast and in the village of Brewster is because in 1962, it was the anniversary of Putnam County. They were celebrating one of the anniversaries of Putnam County, and they said, hey, let's everyone do a little something, a little historical society, this and that. And member William Quinn, who is the chair of the Brewster Chamber of Commerce at the time, got together and created a little museum. And according to the Brewster Standard, which is a local newspaper, supposedly, because it's before my time, supposedly 9,000 people came to this little storefront museum in 3 months.
Holy, are there that many people living in Brewster?
No, not at all. Not even today, not in the village. So it's such a big, if you will, overwhelming, let's go. Everyone wanted this history. In 1963, the Southeast Museum became a reality.
And it was an idea that went right.
An idea that went
decided
right.
to keep it.
And they needed a home, and they spoke to the town of Southeast, and the town said, why don't you come to Old Town Hall? And the Old Town Hall building.
We have a picture of the Old Town Hall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they took this Old Town Hall.
Yes.
Oh, there it is.
Yes.
And they turned it into a museum.
They turned it into a museum, and there's 3 floors. We were originally upstairs from 1963 to 1977, and that's the large stairs going up.
Now, you mainly use the side door?
We mainly use the side door, which you saw in the photo with the little finger pointing
building.
down. And we're, if you will, on the 2nd floor. There's Studio Around the Corner, which is an arts organization, in the basement level, if you will. Since the building's at grade on different sides,
there you go.
we're in the middle floor, and upstairs is currently vacant. But we used to be upstairs and went downstairs.
A couple doors down from the little theater, right? The movie theater?
It's a couple doors down from the Cameo Movie Theater, and also from the Eagle Eye, and we share a parking lot with the Brewster Library. So there's a parking lot, so there's parking on the street as well as,
It's great, so you can go to the Southeast Museum, see things that you like, go next door to the library and read about them.
Exactly, and then go to the Eagle Eye thrift store and, spend some money and give the hospital some
go
money.
Up a couple more, no, we won't talk about the other.
But that's how we began, because it was for the anniversary of Putnam County 1962, and we are chartered through New York State Education Department. There's only 2 museums in Putnam County that are actually chartered as a museum through New York State Education Department, and we are one of them.
So what you basically do is celebrate the history of Southeast and Brewster.
Yes, we celebrate, we have almost 9,000 artifacts.
Wow.
So we collect things, we house them, we preserve them, make sure they don't fall apart, put them in climate control. It doesn't get too hot, doesn't get too cold. And then we exhibit them when need be. We put them on exhibit. And then we do research as well. We have family genealogy that people come in, your house history, people come to the museum and see what we have. Everything that we have has been given to us from people in the community. So we don't go out and buy artifacts. They're given to us. So some of our history is very thorough, and some parts of our history is a little spotty because we might not have something on that particular, whatever you're looking for.
Now, you have the county archivist and the county historian like right around the corner from you, too.
Yes, right around the corner on Marvin Avenue.
Yeah,
so they're right there, and we work a lot together on doing exhibits and research.
So exhibits. I've seen some wonderful exhibits there. And they, again, celebrate some of the buildings, some of the areas. Now, there's, I think, the Brewster train station. That's been around a long time, right?
It has. The current train station, which is there, we have an exhibit on the Brewster train station and the railroad. That is the current station. That was dedicated in 1931.
Wow.
So that's been there since 1931, that actual building. It was built by New York Central Railroad.
And that picture looks like it's A long time ago, yeah?
Yeah, 1931. That was only 31, yeah.
That was 31, but
1931.
Look, I mean, the building looks exactly the same.
It does.
It's
And
been
Metro
preserved
North, yeah,
amazingly
Metro North,
well.
Exactly, and that is the dedication of that train station.
Wow.
Inside the museum, we have the brass letters that you can see where the doorway is that says New York Central. So we have New York Central Railroad, those actual letters in the museum in our exhibit about
You
the
don't have
railroad.
that car in the museum, though, do you?
No, no. If we had that car, I'd be driving it around town.
Me too.
We'd have to fight over it.
Yeah, right?
But we have that. We also have done exhibits on quilts. Part of these 9,000 artifacts that we have are tools,
The quilts, these are quilts that were made.
handmade from people who are living in Brewster or Southeast
here's
at the
one.
time.
Yep.
That is
That's
a Lincoln
beautiful. What a
log
pattern.
quilt, or also called courthouse steps. That's a close-up.
Oh,
That
wow.
quilt is from 1870. So most of our quilts range from 1850 on up to about 1900. And they're made by family members. Everything we have in the Southeast Museum has to somehow have a tie to Southeast or the village of Brewster. We just don't take something from the old Wild West and put it here. It has to be made or used by someone in our community.
Now, what about Tilly Foster? Are the mines or
We do have an exhibit on the Tilly Foster Iron Mine.
because I know that's Southeast, right?
That is Southeast. That's in the town of Southeast. And I don't think people realize that Tilly Foster itself had its own post office, had its own one-room schoolhouse, had its own church. I mean, that's where the miners lived. The miners who worked in the iron mine lived there, as well as other people.
Yeah,
but
that's a
mostly it was
whole
mining.
history in itself.
Oh, my
And
goodness.
some of those gems from the Tilly Foster mines are in Paris.
Yes.
Yeah,
The ones that
holy.
we have on collection, we have about 98, and they are on loan from the New York State Museum up in Albany. And every year, the New York State Museum staff comes down and makes sure that we still have them, and because we have to insure them. But
You weren't selling them.
that we wouldn't sell them, and we have a
Or make
picture of
jewelry out of 'em.
Exactly. I think there's a picture of serpentine, which we have.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh,
in-
there it
in
is.
there,
Oh, look at
exactly.
that. That's
So-
now. What is that? Was that a gem or
That's
a
a
stone?
serpentine. It's a mineral. So
Oh, a mineral.
Mineral,
Oh,
yep.
okay. That's so
So
much I
it's
knew.
very well known for its iron ore, Tilly Foster, and for
Yeah.
the minerals. The iron ore was actually taken out. It was not processed here. It was processed in Pennsylvania. So the iron ore was taken out, put on railroads, speaking of the railroad, and taken down to Pennsylvania, where it was smelted and made into steel, which helped us during the Civil War.
Wow. Wow.
The effort.
Yeah, and I know there's some sad history with the Tilly Foster mines too. Didn't they cave in at one time?
Yes,
and-
we have a
and
major
some of
cave in
the
1895, and
Yeah,
many
some
after that.
died
and it
in
was-
that.
Oh, and most of the people that worked there were immigrants. First, it was
Yeah.
the English and Irish and Scottish.
I went to look up some of the names, and it was like numbers 322 and number, and they were numbers.
Exactly,
they
because
didn't even have names.
With the second wave of immigration, it comes from Southern and Eastern Europe. We had a lot of Italians and Hungarians, and they couldn't pronounce my name or your name, so they didn't want to
Or
be
their own,
bothered. So they
something.
would say, "Here, you're number 5 or whatever," and then they would know if number 5 didn't come out of the mine and what would happen. But many, accidents, and then what basically happened is it's a pit mine, and the Middle Branch Reservoir was created next to it. It started
Yeah.
filling with water. The mine owners sued New York City,
Oh my God.
and basically it was said, "No, you hit a natural spring." So it wasn't worthwhile for them to pump the water out and
Yeah.
continue mining. So the mine officially closed in 1897.
I even read where at one point, I guess it was the Navy was doing some submarine testing or
well,
something.
they were
in
testing
that?
their
Because it was so deep.
yes, their scuba gear to make sure, because it's so deep and it's so cold down there.
Yeah. Ugh.
Oh, and we have a bunch of old timers who tell us about cars that fallen down there
Oh,
and
no.
all other
And story-
sorts of.
Yeah, I know. I've heard. I do hauntings of the Hudson River. So
Yes.
people say, "Hey, you really want ghosts? You should go over to Tilly Foster. There's ghosts in there." I said, "Really?" And I talked to some of the neighbors, and they go, "No, there isn't." Yeah. So there's yes and no's on the ghosts, but there certainly are the spirit of those people who passed there.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. So at the museum, you also try to preserve some of the traditions
Yes.
of Brewster and Southeast. I know you have. I saw one time there were gowns and.
Oh, we do, yes.
Oh,
With all these items that we have wedding gowns, textiles.
Yeah, there you go.
And there's a photo. That
Beautiful.
is Gertrude Miller, who got married in 1901.
Wow.
And
She's still married?
we have a photo of their 60th wedding anniversary.
Wow.
And they were both in their, she was in her gown and he was in his suit.
Oh my goodness.
Yes,
Yeah,
they didn't
yeah.
look happy. but they were in the photo. So we did an exhibit a few years ago of wedding gowns. So we have, and I don't think people realize that most of clothing that you see in any museum are of special occasions, wedding gowns or things like that, or very rich people. Because poor people,
don't usually have
gowns
that you want in a museum.
No, but you wear your clothes until until
they fall off.
Until they fall off. So most of the clothing we have, or if you will, the upper class or special occasions, are people in the Southeast.
Wow. Yeah, I remember going to an exhibit there where you had women's clothes and there were all kinds of dresses and things. Fascinating.
Yes.
Fascinating. And you have some photos, and some of those photos have people in the dress of the day. You know, I mean, the kind of clothes that they wore.
Exactly. And when sometimes people move into a home in Southeast and say, "Oh, I found this trunk in my attic. We don't want it. Take it." And then we don't know who the people are in the photo albums. We can use them in an exhibit for the clothing or the car or whatever. So
do people donate items to the museum?
Oh, yes.
Yes. And you encourage that?
We do encourage that.
So if you have an old wife you don't want anymore, an old husband, donate him?
We don't take anything living. We don't take
sorry, nothing living. Sorry.
Nor deceased in that matter.
Or deceased. No deceased either.
More items, but we do. But the one problem is it has to fit with our mission. And it has to be either made or used in Southeast.
Stop.
You just can't take anything.
Mission. What is your mission?
Our mission is to collect, preserve, and house the material culture of Putnam County. We really specialize in Southeast and the village of Brewster, but we have artifacts from Mayapack, from Putt Valley, from all over the county. But that's our mission. And then we like to exhibit and educate. Because if we didn't have our things, we wouldn't really be a museum with a collection. We need these things. And New York State believes that our things are in the public domain. So we take care of them for the people of Putnam County, even though we own them, but it's for everybody and for them to learn from.
So your idea is to preserve the past for others to see.
Yes, museums basically are the keepers of a society's collective memory. It's not just this group or that group or immigrants or the Italians that were here, the Irish that were here, or the board and milk workers or this or that. It's just our whole community, and we try to preserve that so that people can learn from. And then also it's interesting to know your roots and get a sense of place of where you're from.
I know the railroad played a large role in Southeast and in Brewster. Have you had exhibits about the railroad, or
we have had exhibits, and we actually have 5 permanent, if you will, ongoing exhibits. One is on the Harlan Line Railroad, the Tilly Foster Iron Mine, Board and Milk, the circus. I always forget one.
So those are things that are there all the time.
And the reservoirs, yes, all the
time.
time.
And then you have exhibits that
we turn over, which we call temporary exhibit, and then we have, and this year it's going to be tools of the trade. We're going to have tools of the trade. We're going to have tools. Farm tools, household items, leather working, blacksmith, cottage industry.
When is that?
We're going to open June 8th.
June 8th.
And then we are open Tuesday through Saturdays from 9 to 3 during that time period. And then we close usually in November or so. So we're open, and then we have lectures. I know that you've come.
Yeah,
you've given many lectures at the museum.
I did my Sybil Ludington.
Yes.
Yeah, I did it for the public, and I did one for the Girl Scouts. Yeah.
So we do that. So part of our schedule of events are just our exhibits that we have, special lectures.
Now you have a lecture coming up for yourself, don't you? I mean,
yes, in June as well. I believe we've got to work on the actual date.
Okay.
But it's going to be on the Board and Milk Factory.
Oh.
So we're going to do that.
Yeah, that was a big part of this community then.
Oh, it was. I mean, everyone in the Hudson Valley knows about Board and Milk.
Yeah.
And
now on 52. Those milk bottles, is that?
Yes. Not the Board and Milk condense. I mean, everyone calls me and asks me, it was a dairy farm. But what we have in the village of Brewster was at the actual condensery, where dairy farmers would bring their milk, offload it, and then it would be, through a vacuum pan, made into condensed milk, canned and then sold. So that's what we have.
Now
we have
this year, what
This is the Board and Milk Factory. The first one was built in 1863, a wood building. This is 1879, the brick building.
Look at the condition of that. That's gorgeous.
And these are the farmers bringing up their milks and dropping it off.
And then they turn that milk into condensed milk?
What they do is Nice that you asked. Gale Borden came up with his invention in 1856.
See?
And he created condensed milk.
No.
I think I have a photo of you dropping off your
Yeah,
milk
drop
there.
it off the milk.
Gale Borden comes up with condensed milk, and he basically used a vacuum pan, which is in the Smithsonian Museum. There's a vacuum pan. It's a big round circle, and he took it from the Shakers, upstate New York, religious organization. He used their idea, and he put the milk in. You boil it up. The water basically evaporates, and that's where most of the bacteria lives. And then you add sugar to it. So, I mean, that's very simplified, but that's, because this is before pasteurization, Louis Pasteur came up with pasteurization. Right. So there were a lot of people getting ill, especially the infants, especially very old, from drinking either contaminated milk or milk that had spoiled, depending on your immune system.
Recently it was in the news. They did that again, where people said, you know what, we're not going to pasteurize anymore. We're going to drink it right from the cow.
Raw milk.
And they got sick. They really did get sick.
In 1856, if you look at New York Times Magazine, there were 8,000 children that died from drinking what they called swill milk, S-W-I-L milk. And what was happening is in New York City, you had I go down and get my hot dog at the hot dog, the food cart peddler. There was the milk peddler, and he would peddle out milk, and you'd bring your big vat, and they'd put it in. And what was happening is they were feeding, the dairy farmers in New York City were feeding their cows leftover swill from distilleries for making whiskey. And their cows became mincy. They had ulcers on them. The milk was blue, and it had a very foul odor, so they added chalk to make it look white and get rid of the odor. And these babies were dying, and they basically had poor immune systems, the young and the old. God. 8,000. More died from that than yellow fever or malaria in the same year. So the swill milk, and this is prior to Gale Borden actually getting up and running. So he had his invention, but there was a need, and everyone says, oh, who cares about condensed milk? Why did we need it? Well, there was actually people peddling milk they knew was contaminated and not pure. And this is before progressivism, 1906, and pure Food and Drug Acts and things like that. So it's important. Gale Borden's invention is very, very important, and he employed about 150 people here.
One of our major forefathers.
Oh, definitely. Wow. He was. Yeah.
And there were a couple other. Now, what about Walter Brewster? They named the
village.
After
Yeah, the village after Walter Brewster.
Yeah.
Walter Brewster, in 1848, bought land from the Bailey family, which would now become Brewster. He saw the train line coming up from Croton Falls and Purdy's and so on. And so he bought this property, built the train station, had a deal with the train, basically say, you stop at my train station, and he built most of the buildings on Main Street. Main Street used to be, if anyone's familiar with the village of Brewster, Oak Street. That was their main road, and that's kind of hilly, so he kind of brought it down a little bit. So,
yeah,
and that's
because
named
Walter
after him.
Brewster House is right there.
Yes.
If you go down Main Street, it's right up on top of the hill.
Yes,
right?
and who lived there but the Bordens for a brief time as well.
No kidding. Yeah.
So the area was called
Brewster.
Everything
connects.
Yeah,
one
Brewster
way or another.
Station, apostrophe belonging to him, and the village didn't become its own incorporated village until 1894.
Wow.
And Walter passed away in 1905. But yeah, that's why,
I think we have a postcard from that early Main Street.
Oh, we do. We have a postcard of I believe it is the railroad station, the first railroad station that Walter Brewster built himself.
Wow, look at that.
Yep. And this is what the street looks like in about 1910, 1915.
It looks like that now.
Well, there's some still buildings. In the distance, you can see the movie marquee and the steeple of the Methodist Church.
Wow.
The museum would be there. We're a little further back, but the Southeast House is still there.
Yeah, that Methodist Church, don't they also have like a school in there or something?
Yes, they do. They have the Longhouse School. Yep.
I spoke there.
Longview
they asked me to come there and talk to the children about Sybil.
Okay.
And I was surprised and happy to see that they were using it as a school.
Yes.
Nice. Okay, so you have some big plans for 2016?
We do. We have new children's programs which we're doing, which
great.
You can look at our website, southeastmuseum.org,
now,
or
do
Facebook.
Children have to be from Southeast and Brewster?
No, anyone can come. We're open to the public.
Wonderful.
Anyone can come. They are usually free, our children's programs.
Wow.
So people come on in.
And what do you do there?
We do mostly arts and crafts for the children.
Oh, great.
And then somehow tied into the history
or
into the iron mine or something.
Yeah, great.
There is some educational component, but it's mostly fun.
Yeah.
And those are Saturday mornings. The schedule will be up on our website of when they are.
And what's the age group?
The age group is basically 5 to 11. Yeah. As long as you stay with your student, your kid, then we can, tailor it.
And you bend a little.
Yeah, we bend. Yeah.
That sounds good.
But like I said, our mission is to educate. We're there for the
Right.
people. We want people to come in. We want people to use our programs to call us up and say, hey, I have a history question.
And
What's
you
this? What's that?
have a website.
Yes.
And they can call you.
They
and
can
say, hey,
call
what's
us.
happening? Otherwise, are there like brochures or?
We do have brochures. We have brochures in the local hotels in Danbury, as well as at the Chamber of Commerce, and we're actually doing a new brochure of calendar events, which we give out to people who come
tell you
in, as
what's
well
happening.
as have any
So-
big spot.
I'm sure you're excited about upcoming exhibits. Tell me a little bit about the upcoming exhibits. What is the traveling exhibit?
The traveling exhibit will be the tools.
Oh,
the
the
tools of the
tools, that's
trade.
right,
So we're
that's
going to do that as a rotating. So we're going
And
to have
how
some
long will
household
that be
items.
there?
That will be there from June through November, but it's not
Oh.
always the same things. We're going to put out the household items, take those out, put in other items out, and have it be a rotating exhibit within itself. But what we're working on with the county historian's office is a World War I program and exhibit, because America's entrance into World War I is 1917, which
World
is next
War
year.
I is a little hot right now in Putnam
Oh, my
County, right?
goodness.
That's what they're going to be doing.
That's-
They're doing a lot of
Yeah,
talking
so we've been
about
doing
World War I.
research with that. We
Right.
have photos of a gentleman from the town of Southeast that was in World War I, photos of him in France during World War I. So we're working to reconstruct. First of all, we had to make sure that he lived in the village and in town when World War I
yeah.
happened. So it's a lot of research, a lot of behind the scenes that people don't realize that go on in a
Right.
history
And there
museum.
were a lot of veterans from Putnam County
Oh,
who
yes.
fought in World War I, World War II. I mean,
Civil War,
Putnam
exactly.
County is well known for its veterans. There's a lot of people who fought for this country from this
Definitely.
area. Yeah, so, okay. And then I think you even have a Borden postcard. That
Yeah,
I don't know, did we see it already?
yeah, we did. That was the milk delivery.
Oh,
Yep, that
okay.
was the milk
that
delivery.
was the milk delivery.
Yep.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that we
That
got
we,
all
yeah.
your
And then some of
photos
the
in.
items that we have.
There you go.
Yep.
Oh,
Well, some of the
that's
items that we have in the
beautiful.
museum, I
man.
just want to give you a sample. We have postcards, we have photographs. This is Morningthorpe, which is the Howe's Circus Castle on Turk Hill Road. People may recognize it
Is
around
that
the
still there?
holidays. That's still there.
Oh,
the
man,
holidays.
where is it?
Turk Hill Road in town of Southeast.
Okay, do I know where that is?
You must know where it is.
Give
It's
me a
just
landmark.
right off of 22, basically behind the museum off of 22, up the hill.
Oh,
Allview
yes,
Avenue and
yes.
Turk Hill intersect. That
Oh,
was.
you know, I have to go there and see that. That's, man,
It's
I'd
run
love
by
to
the
live there.
Delancey Street Foundation, and
Wow.
if you give them a call, they'll let you come in and,
Oh, is
and
that
give
right?
a tour.
Oh, I'm going to have
Yep.
to do that.
Oh, it's-
I love
it's
that. I love the
wonderful.
Tudor look.
And that was built by the Howes family, and they had a house over by Brewster Hill Road. And when
The
this-
house?
it was called Stonehenge, and they were frightened that the dam would break. So they sold that house and built this house up on top of the hill.
Wow.
So lots of history there.
Yeah, good history. All right, so talk to me about the museum. What are you preserving today for tomorrow? Do you
The
do
easy
that, or
phrase
do you-
is to say material culture, which is a catch-all.
Yeah.
So we are preserving, like I said, we have items, we have tools, we have
So you
dresses.
are trying to keep your eye on today as being the history for tomorrow?
Tomorrow, we are. It's a little difficult in this digital world
Yeah.
because what I tell a lot of the students that come in from school groups is that everyone has a smartphone and takes pictures with their smartphone.
Yeah.
The museum is full of stories and letters and postcards and love letters and this and that. And I said, well, do you print out your emails? Do you print out your text? Do you print out your photos? Oh, no, we just delete them. And do you merge them when you get the next phone, or do you do this? And will they be missing? What's the museum going to collect
Yeah.
of this generation? In 2016, we're not going to have those letters. We're not going to have those printed photos and photo albums because
Yeah.
people just, it's not as special to take a
Yeah,
photo
you
anymore.
can't. You have to preserve it. Again,
So
you know,
it's difficult to preserve things like that.
I've probably said this on every one of my shows, but here's a postcard.
This is actually this is as large as you see. That's like a strip of paper. That is from 1778,
Wow.
and it is a fine. There was a gentleman who did not serve during the American Revolution, and he was fined £5.
Really?
For not
because
serving.
he didn't serve.
Because he didn't serve. So we have every
a draft dodger.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man.
So we have, like I said,
That's
all
a
different types of
1778 draft dodger.
and it's the tiniest little piece of paper that's lasted since
Wow.
1778.
In 1778, that's a year after Sybil did her famous ride.
See?
Yeah, holy cow.
Yep, and the American Revolution didn't end until 1783. So.
Well, Miss Amy, I have some bad news for you.
Uh-oh.
Time goes by when you're having fun, and it has been going by. Final words. What can we say? We need people to come to this museum. Come and visit. Give me the opening date again.
Our opening date is June 8th.
June 8th.
Which is a Wednesday. We have an annual meeting. Everyone's open to the public for people to come.
Okay.
And then from then on, we will be open Tuesday through
So
Saturdays.
do you do like some kind of a grand opening?
We do a grand opening. We have some food for people.
Food,
And
that's
yeah,
it.
it's fun, and we will
Feed them and they will come.
we tell you what the museum did in previous years and what we're going to do.
Yep.
So, but we really want the public to come. We want people to know that we're there. We want people to know
it's
that we are here
It's a wonderful
for them.
place. And Brewster, Brewster's one of those places that people don't notice. It's a great walking town.
Oh, it's wonderful.
You have two streets, on that main drag that's just worth seeing.
And the bike path is now being completed, but
that's
intersects
right,
the
Nicole.
back. So people
Oh,
on bicycles can
wonderful.
come down, get a bite to eat in Brewster, come to the museum, go to the library.
Well,
do a
Miss
little
Amy,
shopping.
we are in our final
Thank you for having me.
seconds. Thank you for coming. Please come and visit Amy at the museum, see all the wonderful exhibits, see all the things they have to offer. Remember, if you do not teach the children of today about their yesterday, you are stealing from their tomorrow. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being here. Pleasure to have you, Amy.
Thank you.
Come back. Come back when the exhibits are on. Maybe take some photos of those exhibits.
Oh, definitely.
And let us see
Thank
them.
you very much,
A
Vin.
pleasure. Thank you for being here.